Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Kevin Kenny. Welcome to a brand new edition of the Build Series live here in New York City. And our guests today have a brand new album entitled Head Over Heels, due out everywhere June 15th. And after 14 years of making music together, they are still some of the funkiest dudes doing it today in the world of music. Chromeo. I can't imagine, though, how excited you guys must be, how eager, really. We're about a month, about 4 weeks now. June 15th, the album Head Over Heels is out. But you guys just must be so eager to have this out in the world because from a fan's perspective, it seems like every single that comes out, the reviews are even more positive. You know, from the Dream record that came out earlier this year up until the Drum record. And just it feels like there is momentum heading into June. How does it feel for you guys?
Let's hope so.
Feels great to us, yeah.
Let's hope it works like that.
Does it feel like it's working? I mean, you must get some sort of, I know it's different from the artist side to the fan side, but you must be feeling a little bit of that momentum, no?
Yeah, this week we feel it with Fallon on Tuesday night, and then, you know, all the stuff being back. I mean, we were really in isolation when we made this album because we were out in Burbank, you know, which is kind of like saying Ridgewood, Queens. I don't know, like, you know, it's pretty deep suburban Los Angeles, and that's where we set up our studio. So I basically just spoke to this guy every day for the last two and a half years. We haven't interacted with humankind much.
So, and yeah.
Let's do it again?
Yeah.
So any person that says hi, I'm like, great, you like the album, thank you.
Yeah. Straight up.
It's like, yeah, we're slowly getting used to, you know, being out in the open again.
We really made this album like in isolation. I mean, we collaborated with a lot of people on it, but the process was just P and myself kind of like tediously, you know, tweaking away at it for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, you know, you speak about collaborations. It's been said that this is probably your most collaborative project to date.
Yeah.
Why was now the time to sort of open the proverbial gates to the Chromeo estate, if you will?
Fifth album.
I'm going to use that.
Fifth album, you know, like we just felt like we wanted to challenge ourselves. We had started with some collaborations on the last album. We had Solange, Ezra from Vampire Weekend, Tori Moi, and it felt like our fans were receptive to that, you know, and it's also a way for us to challenge ourselves and to keep Chromeo interesting, not only for fans, for us. Like, we want to bring in a lot of people into the mix. And then this album, for us, was almost like a love letter to all the different subgenres of funk that influenced us. Even like 2000s R&B, like the next single, the one that's coming out the week of the album, is produced by us and Darkchild, like the guy that did all the big 2000s R&B songs.
Destiny's Child.
Yeah, Brandy, all that. Yeah, like
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Hello.
Just a name drop.
Like but you know, Raphael Sadiq is on the album. Amber Mark, Stefan Dawn, The Dream, Drum. It was like almost like kind of us. We wanted this album to be a polyphony of voices alongside our sound and our vocals and our story.
Right.
So.
I love that idea of it being a love letter, and I've heard you say that before. If you were writing a
recycling my lines.
No. I'm glad you brought it up. Because,
okay, cool.
It's a beautiful segue into my next question.
Okay.
If you were writing a literal love letter to funk and just the music that made you guys who you are, what's the first name that's going to be penned on that love letter?
Dear Slim, dear Prince, dear George, dear Boo.
Dear Roger Troutman.
Yeah? You know, you bring up Prince. It's funny. I was listening to Bad Decision recently, and I know that you guys have said that you were trying to channel a little bit of early Chili Peppers on that one.
Totally.
But to me,
he sounds like Flea on that thing on bass. I don't know. Yeah.
But
there's a Prince thing.
Oh, I hear so much Prince on that.
Thank God.
Love it. I love it. So can you talk to me about the inspirations behind that song and how that song came to be?
Yeah. I mean, one thing is, too, we're never going to say, like, this is a Prince vibe, because to us, that's, like, unattainable. Like, you can't. You know, it would be like a hubris to say that for us. It's so high up in the ether of perfection. Like, we'd never be like, oh, this is our Prince kind of song. Like, you can't. We're not worthy, you know? This
You can say inspired.
Yeah, like somehow channel. But this is one of the first songs we started working on for this album, and it took forever to get it right. And there were many versions of Bad Decision. One that kind of sounded like old 45s from our last record because they share the same tempo. one that sounded more like a Talking Heads thing, and we just kept toiling at it and just tweaking it until we got that real Prince kind of funk slap bass. At the last second, P went and just laid slap bass all over the song, like just made it crazy. So, you know, it's sort of, that song is symptomatic of the way we worked on this whole record, which was, you know, many, many layers and many kind of, how do you say this? Like different versions of every song? Iterations.
Interpretations of, because, you know, we've separated the writing process, and now the idea, the melody, and the lyrics don't necessarily come with a ready-made production in mind. So now we're like chiseling away. Every time we get a song, it's like, where do we want to take this? Aesthetically, musically and aesthetically, where do we want to take this?
By the way, we really hope none of you guys notice any of this, and it just sounds fun and effortless.
Yeah.
If you guys can hear the work, we failed. If you guys can just hear like it's fun and it sounds seamless and cool and like great, and you can get dressed or get out of the shower, listen to it, we won. So we're giving you what's in the sauce, but you're not supposed. It's just supposed to taste like red sauce. Right. That's all.
It is certainly the latter. It is certainly the latter.
good.
It just
A
sounds
very
Purple, you know, whatever color you want it to be, but like,
a very spicy one.
yeah, no one's supposed to really care about the ingredients.
Well, you know, diving into this secret sauce that you guys have cooked up with the new album, how do you know, you talk about chiseling, P, and Dave, you talk about, you know, this toiling with songs. Is there a quantifiable way for you to articulate when a song is done? Because can you put something like that into words, or is it just you look at each other, there's that unspoken thing, and you say, okay, that's what we've been after all this time?
I make lists, right? I'm
Yeah.
sort of like in the studio, I make lists.
Yeah.
And we usually go down the items, scratch them out,
Okay.
and then at one point we feel it.
But at the end of the day, you can list and quantify as much as you want, but when you feel it is when you stop.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I think we got it, you know?
We feel a certain thing. But we definitely wanted to push more on this record, I think. And you know, we were happy with our last album. It's weird to say. We were happy with it. It took us somewhere that was new for us, and we really wanted to beat it. And we really wanted, like, the one comment that we read, because we read all the comments, and we were like, on the last album, people, you know, the response was positive, but some people were like, more funk, like more straight up funk. So that's why Bad Decision, you know, even like Must Have Been with the guitars and stuff. And then we wanted to have like almost more of a live feel, you know, like, so a lot of guitars, a lot of just movement.
Yeah, Must Have Been, speaking of iterations, is another one that had many different...
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Because it's like Bedhead. Like, our music is like Bedhead. Like, you have, like, Bedhead takes like 14 stylists from Vienna and like 10 different products. You know what I'm saying? Vidal Sassoon over there chiseling. But you're not supposed to, you can't tell. It just should look like you rolled out, didn't think, didn't shower.
Woke up like this.
Woke up like this. But like, that's the hardest thing to achieve. Yeah. You know? And that's what we try to make with our music, is we spend so much time to make it seem like we made it in 5 minutes.
Right. Well, you certainly didn't, right? You spent 2 years on this album. To me, that sounds like, wow, that's a large chunk of time. How does that compare, though, to the lead-in to your previous bodies of work?
Same.
It was the same. So 2 years seems, is that a sweet spot for developing a body of work?
Not anymore. We're going to come back this year with some more stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now what's inspiring that? Just because you have more stuff, or
Yes,
impatience?
we also have a studio now. We have our California studio, so we can make whatever we want. It's ready.
And is that for the first time in your career?
Yeah, we never had our own spot,
Yeah.
so now
Our albums used to be just in chunks and bubbles, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let's work on this. All right, cool, done, let's tour.
Right.
Now we're just going to keep the studio and keep going.
like we're trying to get back in with the Dream and do like a little project with him.
Perfect segue. You are killing it with the segues today, Dave. I want to talk about these collaborators because it's really, no pun intended, a dream team of collaborators on Head Over Heels. The Dream, I think, is so underappreciated, and I'm sure you guys can attest. Like,
did you see the other day?
Yeah.
Drake did a story, and he was like, he screenshotted the Dream. And he was like the GOAT. Like,
yes.
You saw that?
I mean, his tag on songs is, you know, Radio Killer.
Yeah.
And I know radio may not be what it used to be, but still, I mean, that guy is a hit maker. And what was it like working with him?
it's crazy. He comes in. So we're like, again, this for a lot of people, the Dream is just like a guy who had big hits in the 2000s. But we always saw kind of like a funk Prince, El DeBarge thing in that guy. Like, we always felt he had like something more fierce, you know, than your regular kind of R&B singer. And so he comes in, he freestyles the entire song. Nothing written. He hears the music. He does it 15 minutes. And like he does it in chunks. Like he'll do like 2 bars, then 1 bar, then 1 bar, then 3 bars. And then the engineer's got to piece it together on the fly really fast. And he just comes up with the next lyric as he's recording the previous lyric. And then you have a song. And then he leaves. And the engineer kind of pieces it together, puts the chorus where it needs to be. And that's it. It's crazy.
Yeah. That is wild.
It's wild. And he doesn't care. Like he won't do takes. It's not about pitch. It's just about the feeling.
It's about a vibe.
Vibe.
I know it's overused. That word is overused these days.
Very much.
But I think he does come from that. But not unlike you guys, because I think that you were just saying before, it's a feeling, right? That's when you know a song is done. And I think as artists, if you just remain close to that feeling and your decisions are based in emotions and feelings and dare I say vibes, right? I think you won't stray too far from what you're actually trying to accomplish.
It's a mix. It's a balance. There's always, of course, everything we do has a calculated element. And I also feel like, P and I are not virtuoso musicians. We're not the kinds of guys like Prince who could pick up any instrument, press record, and do it in 1 take. That's not us. Like, we're not. There is a degree of calculation to what we do. But you kind of have to balance both. You got to balance the visceral gut reaction and the cerebral aspect.
Totally. We talk about Dream, who, of course, is a hit maker from the 90s, the 2000s, the early 2010s, even up till today. But you guys also have, I should say, newer artists that are very exciting. Stefan Dawn, who I'm a huge fan of over from the UK. How did you guys become aware of her, and how did she get involved with the record?
It was, we had the song, and we felt like the album needed another female voice. Because like we were saying before, there's kind of like, this album's got almost like a polyphony of voices on it. We wanted like a chorus of different voices to blend in with ours. And so we felt like it needed another tone. And then we already had French Montana on that song, and they had a song together. So I was like, why not bring her in? Because they have chemistry already. So we got her on, and she gave us there's like another half of the song that's not on the song that she gave us that we couldn't use. Like, it's not because it was bad, because it was too much. Like, she gave us 3 minutes worth of stuff. Like, we're just
10-minute song.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the French Montana song. I didn't know that was the same song as Stefan Dawn, but you guys, first off, number one question, when can I hear the French Montana song? Because you guys
The week
did a
it
hell
came
of
out.
the week it comes out.
Yeah.
You said it's a little bad boy 90s vibe, 112 kind of feel.
112 only you.
You're speaking my
remix.
language when you say stuff like that. So tell me about this song.
Well, so it's the same as the one that's got Steph. That's the one we did with Rodney, actually.
Okay.
But so I don't know. It's just like it's a bop. It's just got that bop, and French is good on those tempos. Like, we're also big hip hop heads, and like nerdy hip hop heads. So back in the day, French Montana did a remake of Return of the Mac. This is for like the real heads. Like, if you're like me, like
Is this on the internet?
yeah. But
Okay.
you got to really be I'm up on like the Smack DVDs and all that. Like, I listen to everything.
Wow.
So he did a remake of Return of the Mac, and we knew that because we always used to listen to it. So when the song had that bop, we were like, he could be good on there. And again, it's just like, he also stands for a lot of things that we like. I mean, other than the fact that he's from Morocco, like my mom, but also, he's like a very sort of international kind of like post-colonial figure in music now, and he's got like actually really progressive stances, vocal stances on immigration and stuff that resonate with our politics. So
Definitely, and I mean, you speak about what he does outside of music. When he had that huge top 5 hit last summer with Unforgettable, he had an Unforgettable challenge. It was like a dance kind of challenge, and it all went to charity. It was all for raising awareness. So he's not only a great MC.
yeah,
but
that's
also-
kind of cool. Like, it's cool when there's a backstory. Like right now there's so much music, so much content. We're bombarded with stuff. Like, I haven't had time to catch up with the 3 Race Tremor albums that came out last week. It's like, literally, I don't have time. Like, so, I mean, okay, we only have 12 songs, but we're going to give you backstories on each, like just substance that you could sink your teeth into, and hopefully they last and people can live with them for a bit.
No, absolutely. And I think I speak for most music fans that I appreciate 12 songs as opposed to 27 on Shrem Life, It's like an assignment when you see that release,
Straight up.
We got
Worth it, I'm sure. Like,
Oh, it's
by all
great.
accounts,
It's
it's
just-
brilliant, but there's just so much.
Yeah, it's a lot. I got to talk about Drum on Must Have Been. amazing performance on Fallon the other night. You looked like you were having the time of your life on that stage. You talk about, it seeming like a party and not, getting too deep in the weeds with how it came to be. That looked like a party. How was that?
It was fun. Man.
Yeah, it was raucous. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, Quest's bangs on those drums. Like, that's all you can hear is, like, the Questlove banging on the cymbals. He was right behind me. The whole time I'm singing, I'm hearing psh, psh, psh. I'm like, man, he's hitting it. Like, and, Drum came out with the Missoni bathrobe. We were just like, okay.
And in the meantime, I got Jesse Johnson from the time right behind me, like, oh, sorry.
He's a pro.
And in the meantime, I have Jesse Johnson right behind me, like, from the time, which happens to be one of our biggest influences.
Big time.
He's wild.
We just felt like 5 albums in, like it's time for us to take all the influences that all the music that has obsessed us since we were 15 years old. Because, like, another thing is, like, we're from French Canada. Like, I don't know, maybe most of you guys are from New York or, you guys grew up into this. Like, you're walking around, there's graffiti on the streets, there's music coming out of... We're from French Canada, it's the winter. It's another culture. So, in a way, all this kind of stuff, it's like, it fascinated us. It was like a myth, Wu-Tang, Ghostface, like, it was like they were superheroes to us. So even funk music, like Bootsy Collins, when we were teenagers, he was a superhero. It was like, we didn't even know if he was real, like, larger than life. So it's a kind of music, we didn't grow up listening to funk at home. Our parents don't listen to that, like, we weren't alive in the 70s and the 80s. We weren't there. So we discovered it like someone discovers almost like a fable. And it literally transfixed us since we were teenagers. So we want to bring together all those influences and show the world how much we're grateful and how we can, like, kind of be a melting pot for it,
Oh, totally. I wanted to ask you guys what you think about the current state of funk. And before you answer, I caught myself because I was like, well, funk, I don't want to say it sounds like a dated genre, but it does. I feel like when you think of funk, it harkens back to another time. And it's a great time in music. But then when you take a further step back, you're like, wait a minute, some of the biggest records of the past couple of years are funk records.
Bruno,
I was going to say, he just swept the Grammys with a predominantly funk album, and with him and Mark Ronson having that long #1. So how do you feel funk is right now?
I mean, what do you think, P?
I mean, like you said it's... But the thing with funk is that it's been in and out, People will always need an element, a presence of funk.
Like, you're not going to have a bar mitzvah without Kool and the Gang,
Exactly.
ever in your life, for generations to come until the end of time. You're not going to have, that stuff plays everywhere. Like, people reference Rick James to this day. Every day, people reference, James Brown, you know what I mean? It's not going anywhere. It's just, it's always sort of palpable.
And when we say funk, it doesn't, like, drum is funk to me. You know what I mean? The Dream was funk to me. So it's not funk in terms of this is the sound that was happening in 1981. It's a long progression,
Like Hall & Oates is funky, It's all
like
that.
when you say hip-hop, is it...
Janelle Monáe, that song she came out with like a couple weeks ago or whatever, a month ago, that's funky as hell. Like, it's like, there. We're just, we've always done it. Like, we're just here we're on a mission, This is our mission. Like, we're not stopping.
Yeah, we had Judas Priest on the show recently, and they said rock and roll is more than a genre, it's an attitude. Would you say funk is an attitude?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's like hip-hop, is hip-hop 1988 or 2017? Mm-hmm. It's all of it.
Right.
It's the progression. It's a, same
Judas
thing.
Priest are a huge influence on Chromeo.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Will we hear some Judas Priest on the new album?
That's no. But, like, visually, we just love bands that have, like, a crazy image. Like, for us, when we started making music, we're like, if you can't dress up as a band on Halloween, like you failed. Like, we're cartoon characters, you know what I mean? Kiss, Drum, Judas Priest, ZZ Top, Wu-Tang, Ghostface.
Oh, yeah.
A$AP Rocky. They're
I'm right there with you.
characters. And that's what we love is, again, being these two kids from Canada, looking at all this American music, being like, these people are superheroes. You know what I mean? They were literally superheroes to us.
Yeah. You guys look like some superheroes on the album art.
No Photoshop.
Yeah.
No Photoshop.
So what's coming up after the album? I know it's very exciting. If you're watching us right now in New York City and you want to do something very cool on album release day, you guys are playing Terminal 5, right?
On release
day the
yeah.
album drops.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And New York is the city where we cut our teeth as Chromeo.
Okay.
Seriously, like we played our first shows here, like 14 years ago. Like we played little bars in the Lower East Side and everything. Like so, it's always special.
That is special. We've got the tour dates up right now. This is an international affair, it looks like, for you guys. You just played Coachella, of course. You're headed
There's
over.
more too. Like there's an updated version where there's Australia and stuff.
Oh my
It's crazy.
gosh.
Coming
How
back
do
to the U.S.
How do the crowds, the Chromeo crowds, kind of differ from continent to continent?
It's hard to tell.
Is it hard to tell?
I mean, it differs from city to city.
City to city.
In the U.S., from coast to coast.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's a New York crowd like?
More sophisticated,
Okay.
knows the backstory of Chromeo. I don't want to say the other crowds aren't sophisticated, but here, like, there's going to be fans that have been with us since Needy Girl, because we were playing shows in New York around that time. But also, like, a great, just appreciative crowd, and it's our favorite city to play. One of them.
Right on. You're not just saying that because we're in New York right now?
No, we've got a sentimental attachment. Like, I've lived here 16 years, so.
Really cool, guys. Well, we have the studio audience here, and some of them have questions. So let's get to the
Please.
first one right here.
Hit me.
Okay, so earlier you were talking about how, like, from an outside perspective, looking into America, you kind of saw all of these, like, music icons of kind of like superheroes and kind of like fables in a sense. And I was curious if you thought that by extension your music served more as like a way to like, I guess, like reflect that, or if you guys feel like you're putting a lot of like your own personal experience into it and then like reworking that, or if it's just like how you feel about that.
Both. Like, hopefully it's both. Like, there is, of course, like an immense sense of tribute in what we do, because, if we can get someone to discover, Zapp or Rick James or Prince or whatever, like, we feel like we've done our job, because we're just like a prism, but a prism that leads you to other things. But at the same time, our music is super authentic to who we are. We like, look at the Must Have Been video. It's like literally it's our life story, and we are open about our lives. My lyrics are very sincere in all their goofiness and stuff. It's like, I don't try to portray it like I'm someone else. It's really, we show ourselves, we're approachable, we answer people, we show you what our studio's like. So there's also like a big authentic aspect.
Yeah. It's almost like a personal essay on what we've learned and how we discovered that music that we're reinfusing into our own material. It's like we've been studying this, Yeah.
It's a great question, man. Thank you. We have time for one more question. It'll come from the back.
Hello, guys. Hi. Since you guys were talking about being big hip-hop fans, I wanted to know what old school hip-hop artists influenced your sound and influenced you to be artists.
Old school hip hop, like what era? 90s or?
I wasn't really being specific, like 80s, 90s.
Old school hip hop that influenced us. The Hot Boys, like Manny Fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but also, we grew up listening to EPMD De La Soul, and that's how we learned what funk music was.
Yeah,
is by
that's
the
the right
samples, the samples that were used on EPMD. Roger Troutman and Zapp were sampled for that. Funkadelic with De La Soul.
Like, we never knew what that music was until we heard It's Just Me, Myself, and I. Oh, so we're like, what's that? And then I remember he was like, yo, listen to this. And it was the original. And we were like, wait, what? We didn't even know what that meant, really. Sampling, what, you're 15 years old and your parents are listening to Arabic music at home. Like, you don't know what that means, Like, literally, you don't know. So we were just like,
we didn't have a cool uncle or parent with a record collection that I could say, oh, here's the De La Soul song. That reminds me, my uncle has that record, and it sounds like that. To me, that was the original. You know what I mean?
So we went and discovered, that was a gateway drug to discover that whole universe, and it was so powerful for us, and we became obsessed. I don't know why. I can't explain it. We just became obsessed. And all the things Pia mentioning, De La, Farside, EPMD, Tribe. The best show we've ever seen, it was in 1994. We were kids, like 12-year-old kids, or no, maybe 15, 16. 15-year-old kids, when Lollapalooza was still like a traveling festival, and they had Beastie Boys, Funkadelic, and Tribe back to back.
Yeah.
And P and I were in the audience. Like,
That was a mind blow
Like-
because we had just discovered Parliament. We knew about Tribe Called Quest. We knew about Beastie Boys, and to us it was just like, whoa.
it would be like, you know, and we were together, like the two kids in the video, like looking like the two teenagers in the video, like straight up looking like that, like dorks, you know?
It's awesome. I love the Manny Fresh name drop, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Manny Fresh is funky. Like,
Oh, dude, he's the best. What do
he's like it's electro.
Oh, totally. And I love that you know, Drake bringing back that bounce sound a little bit with Nice for What. It's very cool.
Hot
Very, very
stuff.
cool.
New Orleans is like a cultural mecca for music.
Absolutely, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. The
Thanks.
date to remember at home, June 15th, Head Over Heels is available everywhere. One more time for Chromeo.
Thank you guys.